The Spoonful of Strength podcast is now the Spoonful Show. This podcast brings strength, humor, and heart to the chronic illness community. Inspired by the spoon theory, which shows us that even with fewer spoons, we can still live fully. This show highlights real spoony topics and practical insights to help you feel less alone and more empowered. I'm your host, Rachel, and together we'll take on this journey one spoon at a time. This episode discusses mental health and suicide. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to this week's episode of the Spoonful Show. I'm Rachel, and today we're having a really important conversation about mental health, hope, and the power of knowing you're not alone. My spoony co-host is Stephen. I've known Stephen for over a year. He was on the Spoonful of Strength podcast, episode 16. In that conversation, he talked about his background with Chiari malformation and syringomelia. And we got to know Stephen, and Stephen and I have stayed connected through Instagram. I left that conversation a year ago feeling like Stephen was just a powerful, bright light. All he wanted was to bring awareness to Chiari and CSF leaks with a focus on mental health. A few months ago, when I was kind of scheduling out the podcast, he'd agreed to come on the podcast, and I asked him what he wanted to talk about, and he said mental health. I want people to know you're not alone. And a few weeks after that, I saw a story from Stephen that talked about being a suicide survivor. And my heart just sank because that wasn't something that he talked about too much in our conversation last year. And so when we sat down to talk about, okay, what are we talking about on the podcast? He was open to sharing his story. Stephen's all about raising awareness and making people feel like they're less alone. And he said, I've not shared this story, but to a few family members, but if it can help one person, then he said he would be open to talking with me about this. So going into this conversation, I don't know what we're going to talk about. I wanted this to be a conversation among friends. I wanted to sit down and let him tell his story. Stephen's lived through chronic illness and also the deep emotional pain. And at one point, he felt that was too heavy to carry. And he'll talk about the night that changed everything for him. We want to remind others that even in the darkest moments, light can still find its way in. So let's get into my conversation with Stephen. So welcome, Stephen. It's so good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, it's been over a year. I know that you were on episode 16. And so that was probably summertime last year, maybe?
Yes, it was. I think it was after my doctor's appointment with my neurosurgeon. I remember.
Yeah.
I was like, I got to get back in time because the traffic was bad.
Yes. Yeah. So we got a chance to know a little bit about your history with Chiari malformation. Can you take a moment to just reintroduce yourself to our listeners and also give us an update of what's been going on the last year?
Yeah, my name is Stephen Lopez. I suffer from Chiari malformation and syringomyelia. I was diagnosed back in 2021 after a car accident. I've had decompression surgery in 2022. Now I had numerous setbacks with, CSF leak, and then I had a bone infection in my lumbar area with an abscess, which was around the time we did the podcast, I think I was just finding out and getting more
Mhm.
testing done for that. So this year I've had carpal tunnel surgery on my hand. I also found out that my neck isn't stable due to the surgery since I had herniated disc. So my C2 especially is compressing my spinal cord. And right at that same spot, there's still CSF fluid there from my leak that hasn't absorbed. So it's my surgeon said I would need a major neck fusion because the levels below it are working their way to the spinal cord. They're actually hitting the thecal sac, that lining that protects the spinal cord. So he said it would be a major fusion and that would be high risk. So he just wants to monitor that with I think he said every 6 months of MRIs. He said eventually it's going to have to happen, but he doesn't want to do it now since I just had a infection. He doesn't want to reintroduce,
Yeah.
open that spot up and God forbid get another one. So definitely don't want to do that. But other than that, I just been spreading awareness and advocating and trying to get the word out there about Chiari malformation and other chronic illnesses.
Yeah. What I love about, I remember Tina and I talking to you last year is just walking away from that episode, just being like lifted up and just
Hmm.
your energy and your positivity, no matter what's going on,
Right.
is just wonderful. And you've done a lot of work for Chiari malformation. Tell us about the walk that you have done, and also lighting of the bridge there
Oh,
in.
yes.
Yeah, tell us about those.
I'll start off with the lighting of the Sunshine Skyway Bridge. It's in Tampa Bay, connects Pinellas County to Manatee County. Um, 2 years ago, I was just looking up YouTube videos of other chronic illnesses and how people got landmarks lit up, and I was like, there has to be a landmark around here that will catch people's attention. And I was like, let me try the Skyway Bridge. In my mind, I was like, it's probably going to be hard to do, but I reached out. I found out to the FDOT, the Florida Department of Transportation. I was able to obtain an email, and her name was Kristen, and she pointed me in the right direction. So I had to get commissioners from Pinellas County, Hillsborough County, and Manatee County to approve the lighting. It was a lot of emails and a lot of people to get approvals for. But after about a month, they actually all approved it, and I kept getting emails from each county, and then we finally set up a date, and then it was September, I think it was September 14th of 2023. Um, and we got there, and I'm thinking in my head, what if they forgot about the bridge going purple? I was like, did it really happen? And then as soon as it hit dusk, you could see the lights come on in purple. And as it got darker, and I was, man, this is like everyone's like, you did this. And like it wasn't easy. But it was awesome to see such a big bridge, such like a landmark bridge, because it's so big, to be lit up purple for Chiari Malformation Awareness Month. I was able to do that for 2 years in a row. I had it done last year, but I actually had a blanket approval to do it for every year, but something happened with the governor with lighting monuments up, so they couldn't do it this year. So hopefully next year they get it cleared up so I could start doing it again. But yeah, I also worked with Conquer Chiari. I did the Chiari walk recently here it was in Tampa Bay at Lake Seminole Park. It was my second year hosting it. It was pretty fun because you get to meet other people, and just hear different stories, and it's crazy because we all have Chiari, but everyone's story is so different. And even with like the surgery and the symptoms, not one person I've met that are like exactly alike. I've met other people that have the same situation, but it's so different. So it's fun to organize stuff like that in the area to do for everyone. So yeah, it's a lot of work to do the walks, but this was the second year you've donated some of your merchandise that we were able to raffle off. So that was pretty awesome,
Mhm.
and thank you for that again. The people loved
Oh,
the mugs this year.
oh, good, good. So when I had reached out to you to ask if you would co-host with me,
Hmm.
I said, "What do you want to talk about? What's important to
Right.
you?" And I won't forget what you said of I just want people to know that they're not alone.
Yes.
And it sparked a bigger conversation between the two of us of well, what does that mean, and what can we talk about that would be beneficial to the spoonful community? And so we're going to talk a little bit about mental health, and the statistics are, I'm a numbers girl. I'm going to bring it
Mhm.
out, but it was very surprising to see the statistics of this. Was a study done in 2022, but an estimated 59 million US adults, that's 23% of the population, have experienced some sort of mental illness.
Wow.
And only 50% of those people actually received mental health treatment, which is,
Yeah,
you know,
it's
it's crazy.
yes, it is.
Um, Among those people with chronic pain or chronic illness, the prevalence of depression is 39% and anxiety is 40%. People with multiple chronic illnesses are more likely to be depressed. One study showed that almost 70% of those with two chronic illnesses had depression at some point. I just feel like it's such an opportunity to talk about mental health with how staggering those studies are.
Right.
Coming into this, what do you want people to know about mental illness?
It's one thing that it's real. It's not fake. It's not all in your head, or it's they get pushed over and saying, "Oh, it's just your anxiety. You'll be okay. Just calm down." And then it's literally not that.
Mm,
Especially with a chronic illness, that makes you go through so many different emotions, especially in the beginning stages of finding out, your diagnosis. And then after that, sometimes it could just be us, like going down the hill. You're getting so many different things thrown at you, and then you're trying to do your own research, and then you start seeing all it could do this to you, it could do that to you, and your mind is just racing. And that's what happened with me. I was looking at Google and seeing all these numbers and lifespans, and my mind was literally not the words. I got told it was anxiety. It's a,
mm,
so I knew I didn't, and it was a doctor, so I didn't believe it. So, but seeing so many other people and other groups just talk about like what they go through every day, and it's scary to see that. And when you ask them, try to give them resources, like there's no help in the area, and no one wants to help me. So I don't want no one to feel like that, like they're isolated. And you could be heard, even if it's just reaching out to someone, that will listen. That helps tremendously too.
mm,
Talking to someone with the similar situations. So I just want people to know that I know it's hard, and it could get, you know, sometimes you can't do the things you want to do anymore either. So that's another thing that plays a big role. But there's millions of us that are going through the same thing, and just want the message to be you're definitely not alone, and you can always reach out to someone, even if it's me. I don't
mm,
mind, helping someone out and just try to talk them through anything that they're going through. Because sometimes if we vent to someone and just talk, especially if it's someone that we don't know, because that's another thing. If we tell people that we know, then you think that we're going to get judged and looked at differently, especially in a family. So
mm.
just want to don't, I know it's hard. There's days that are going to be really hard, but you're going to get through this, and we're all in it together. That's why I tell people we're all through this struggle together, and
Yeah,
there's going to be it may not seem like it, but at the end of the day, one day it's going to get better, even if you just take little steps to help with the mental illness.
yeah. And you
Yeah.
mentioned a really good point of just everything that we go through.
Right.
And even before we get that diagnosis, the amount of people that experience gaslighting or
Hmm. Right.
tests that come back normal and being then taken to a different doctor, waiting the
Mhm.
6 months to find, to get into that doctor. And then you've got your list of questions and you're putting all your eggs in that basket and walking away with still no answers.
Right.
And,
Yeah, that's the
and,
worst.
and then the other thing that I was thinking about is just for the people that have like progressive diseases of
Yes.
like I have MS, the unsure of what the future holds and
Hmm.
how I have progressed. And so, in the last year, I've progressed a lot. My mobility is worse. So, what is the next year going to look like?
Right.
And all of that. I'm actually surprised that more people don't have mental illness from fighting all of the
Yeah.
fights that we have.
It's exhausting.
Mhm.
It's like I told my wife, I was like, I really don't want to go back to the doctor. I mean, I love my neurosurgeon. He saved my life with the infection. So I'm glad I was able to, finally see him. But it's not just one doctor. You have to go get labs one day, and then you have to go see your primary doctor and get stuff taken care of, or new tests. Like I had to do nuclear tests, nuclear medicine tests.
Yeah.
I had to do that last year, and I think I had to do, yeah, I did a lot last year, and it's time consuming when you're doing all that and the MRIs
Mhm.
and just reading. In my mind now, when I do an MRI, I always say, I always prepare myself. I say, I know there's going to be something else on there that's happening that's new, you know, and it's been like that. So at this point, it's just like you said, what's next year going to bring?
Yeah.
And every
Yeah.
year since my diagnosis has been always something every year, every test. So
Tell me a little bit about your mental illness history.
yeah, it was pretty. It got to a point where I noticed the decline. I was always sad, depressed. Anxiety was even high, and I rarely even had anxiety at the time. Actually through my life until like that time period, and it's like 2013. Um, it was with the person that I was with. It was such a toxic environment, and
Mhm.
the constant arguing back and forth, and it was just too much for me. At that time I was still trying to get my life together because I had a spinal fusion in 2009. So a couple years later, I was trying to figure out what career path I was wanting to do. So it was, I want to say it was one night I couldn't go to sleep. I saw something that I read through a text, wasn't through my phone. And it just for some reason I just spiraled, like something like snapped in my head. It was like I can't do this no more. I don't want to be here no more. I can't keep living this way. And I just spiraled, and I didn't. At first, I was doing it to try to scare the person, or to get like, hey, it's like I was screaming out for help, and like this isn't me, and everyone knows this wasn't me. And it took about a few hours. I was taking medication for my lower back, and I started taking, too much. And then I stopped, and then all of a sudden something snapped a few hours later in my head where it's just I was just eating the pills, and the other person didn't even care. They were like, oh, they went in the shower, and like, if something happens to you, it's on you. So that made me more like, I'm not worth it. And, no one cares. And it was almost like a half day event where I tried to get my neighbor, which was my friend, to come help me. And he did calm me down, but he was telling me, you can't be in this kind of relationship or environment. You need to let go. And I started calming down. And all of a sudden, as soon as he left, I just started taking more medication. It got to the point where I got so scared that I was like, I think I just overdid it.
Mhm.
But then I even started taking more after that. And I just remember I got in the car, we went to go pick up my brother. I wasn't driving,
Mhm.
but I couldn't keep my eyes awake. The music was like very sluggish, like it was starting. I think that was the turning point. I was like, oh, I really did something here, because it was such a weird feeling, and just hearing the traffic, it was just like I was in my own world. I couldn't even keep my eyes open. And then we got back home. I couldn't even get out the car. I remember my dad coming out, and he was like, "You okay, son?" And I just blew it off. But he had that look in his eye, like something seems off. But I was fighting so hard to act normal. And
Mhm.
then I think what happened was I heard a voice It was really weird and it freaked me out. And I said, I need to go to the hospital. And I was gonna actually go inside the house and take a nap because I was so tired. And when
Mm,
I got to the hospital, I mean, they all put me in the room, hooked me up with IVs, and I was telling them everything. And then after that all calmed down, they had a county sheriff come in. He's standing in the front of the room, and I'm like, why is there a cop here? You know, because I don't know what the process is. Then actually came and sat down, and he's like, I have to watch you to make sure you don't, do anything else. And then at that time, the nurse came in and she went over everything with me, all my tests and blood levels. I was like, what would have happened if I would have went to sleep that day? And she said,
mm-hmm,
you were literally about 5 hours of, you said you would have been gone. Because if you would have went
mm-hmm,
to sleep, you would have never woken up.
mm,
So when she told me that, I was still so messed up from the pills.
yeah.
The brain fog, everything was just weird. And I just remember sitting there eating a turkey sandwich because I was starving.
Mm-hmm,
And then the cop, I wish I remembered his name. He was a Pinellas County sheriff and he was young. He was like maybe in his mid 20s. Because that's what I know. I was like, you're a young cop, because he wasn't saying nothing. And then we literally had a conversation for like 3 to 4 hours, and he was telling me how he served in the Iraqi war, and he's like, I've been through what you're going through, and we were both just talking, and I didn't even know him, and I felt like he was like a brother, and I was crying, he was even crying with me. And then when he left, he goes, I have to change shifts. And that experience, and then it was still like it was like midnight, and I started like waking up and realizing what I did. And like, well, we gotta take you to a hospital. And I'm thinking, okay, they're gonna put me in a room. It's like, no, you're going in with other people. And I was not expecting that. And I think that experience being in that floor of the hospital with others that are going through mental health, that right there just something hit me. I was like, this is not me. I'm like, I'm in this hospital with others that are really, really suffering from mental health issues. And a lot of them were repeaters. They kept calling themselves. I was like, I don't want to fall into that cycle. Something kept me alive, and I would say I wasn't meant to go that day because, like, look now, like I have,
yeah.
a wife, I have other children. Um, I'm I'm helping others in the community,
Mm-hmm,
but mental health, it could be really hard to fight that. I think the
mm-hmm,
mental health is one of my hardest battles to deal with, especially at that time. It's like really strong and it's hard to put into words because it's like something in you is fighting you back. And you sometimes you think, "Oh, I could fight back," and then it takes over you. It was really an eye-opening event for me. And to
mm,
think when that nurse told me, you're really lucky, and it's like, you know, think I'm always so grateful that that day it didn't turn out differently because the amount of people that I hurt in the process, especially my family, it she was like, you could see it in their eyes like how scared they were. So it's really hard, but I've learned to cope with it different ways, and I always I always say I always tell people keep fighting, and that's what I kept doing, and I just it's yeah, how do I say it? It sucks that it happened, and it happens way too much with others,
yeah.
and it's one of those hard subjects to even talk about sometimes, but we're both here, so, and we could tell our stories, and even if it helps one person,
Yeah.
to change their mind, then I know that we're doing a good job at getting this out there to others that may feel isolated.
Yeah. Did you ever feel that night? Did you ever have a feeling regretful, like, what have I done? Or panic at some point that you may have gone too far?
Yeah, I did. As soon as I was talking to the cop towards the end, when I started feeling more of myself because everything was wearing off, I
Mm,
really regretted it. And I was like, yeah, exactly what you said. I was like, what did I do? What was I
yeah.
thinking? It's like, how did I let that take over me? I was like, I should have just walked and went for a walk and cooled off that way. Or when my neighbor came over, hey, can we go for a walk?
Yeah.
I had so many different scenarios that I could have done to get over that mindset. But when you're in that moment, it's hard to even think. So, but yeah, it was definitely one of those things that always stick with me when I hear others going through it.
Hmm. Yeah. And I want to thank you for sharing that because it will definitely help people. Living with chronic illness can take a toll on your body, but it can also weigh heavily on your mind.
Yeah, the truth is, mental health struggles are common in our community, and sometimes it can feel like you're completely alone.
But you're not. There's strength in speaking up, in reaching out, and in finding people who understand.
I've been there at my lowest, and what helped me come back was realizing that someone cared and that I wasn't fighting this battle by myself.
If you're struggling, please know there is help, there is hope.
You are not alone.
If you or someone you know is in crisis, you can call or text 988 to reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's available 24/7, free and confidential. You can also text HOME to 741-741 to connect with the crisis text line and chat with a trained listener anytime.
You are not alone, and your story matters.
This message is brought to you by Spoonful of Strength and The Spoonful Show. I wonder when you were talking about the different ways that you can go, it's like you're on a highway with all these exits that you can get off
Mhm.
of and kind of continuing the course. I can imagine that felt very scary and lonely. What were those first couple days like after getting out of the hospital? What are some of the things that you did in those first few days?
I actually, when I got out, I stayed with a friend, because I couldn't go back to my house because I think when I went there to get clothes, I was like, I was like, I can't be here. So I was like, let me remove myself from sitting here thinking of what happened and go to a friend's house. And he kept me busy for the few days. We went out to the mall. We just talked, listened to music, and he's like, just come with me wherever I go, you go. So we went and visit his family and just joke around. And it was scary. I had my anxiety and that it's that weird anxiety feeling like you start your mind is still racing because you're trying to process what happened, the days prior to it, and you're trying not to get back to that mind state again. So really had to train myself and be like, I had to keep busy. I mean, I even
Mm-hmm.
lost my job over it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was another thing that hit. I was like, man, I just lost my job, my income. Now I have to try to get myself better, but then now I have to look for a job. So there's so many things that crumbled around me that I had to start doing. And it was hard for the first few days, though. It wasn't easy,
Mm-hmm.
but
Did
I
you
fought
ever
through
feel
it.
like you couldn't like trust yourself?
Yeah, at times, yeah, I did. Because I told myself, like, what if it just happens again? Or what if
Mm-hmm.
this person triggers something again? And it wasn't hard. I mean, it wasn't hard. It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
Um, for I would say first few weeks, it was a lot because then, people are finding out what happened and then
Yeah.
they're asking you and then you're reliving it. So it was a lot of things going on in my head for those first few weeks. But
Did you find yourself feeling like you didn't want anybody to know and if, some
mhm.
shame with that?
Yeah, I didn't want no one to know. I told my brother knew, my dad and my mom and sister knew, but I
Mm-hmm.
told them do not tell
Yeah.
anyone. It slipped out at one point to a family member and they kept like asking about it to like they would message me, message my sister. I just like I told them I don't want to talk about it. But
Yeah.
this is actually it was only even now only like a handful of people know. This is my
Mm-hmm.
first time actually like coming out with it. Like
Yeah.
I've said it before like on posts, but I've never explained what. kind of issues
Yeah.
there were. But yeah, this is my first time actually talking openly about it. I've been wanting to do it for so many years, but I wanted it to be with the right, the right person and the right platform to do it. So I just waited. I was like, maybe one day it'll come along. And then when you asked me about it, I was like, look, this is the opportunity to talk about it because now I'm more in depth with, mental illness and chronic illness. So now it's easier for me to talk about it.
Hmm. Yeah. I appreciate you trusting me
Mhm.
enough to have the conversation here because it is so important, and that's always been something that's been
Mhm.
special to me because I've gone through depression and
Right.
anxiety and things like that. Looking back, because we're what, 12 years
Yeah.
after, what what do you think the secret to your success, or what was the thing that you think helped the most of getting out of that and staying out of that?
It was definitely removing myself from the toxic situation I was in.
Hmm.
It wasn't easy. Um, but when that day finally came, when I was like officially removed, it took some time, but I just like, wow, I just got a new start at life right now. I can move on. I had a good job and I was like, now everything's starting to look up and like I kept myself busy with the job and going out more and not isolating myself, but also not having my inner circle small, so people that I could trust and not go down a wrong path of anything else. So, um, yeah, it was a relief when that day came, and I remember it still to this day. And I'm like, that day couldn't have came at a perfect time too.
Hmm.
So.
Yeah. So, have you tried any therapy, or was it just changing your outlook and making those changes?
No, I actually tried. It was a few months after that, I went to a counseling center. I had my own counselor. It was like a 6 week program. It was 2 to 3 times a week, and my job, they didn't mind if I went in the morning because they kind of knew something happened, but not too
Yeah.
much in detail. But they were real supportive of me doing that, and they even said the HR, she said, I know that's not easy to do, but we have your back. So it was good to have them behind my back. So it pushed me to do it, and just talking to the counselor, it was hard at first because you're talking to a stranger about all your personal issues that no one else you tell. Um, but after a while, it really started helping me, and I did it like for like 4 to 5 weeks, and she was like, honestly, I think you've learned from your mistakes. You know it won't happen again, and the whole program you did great. I don't see any signs of going back to that kind of mindset. So after I left that, I felt really that I remember walking out that last day of doing it. It was my last day with her, and it's like good now. I felt more refreshed. My mind was more clear, and then I could just now just keep focusing on life and you know getting
Yeah.
on like working and just get a
Yeah.
new group of people to hang out with and just start over again and just see
Mhm.
where life takes you.
Yeah. And this is pre Chiari,
Yeah, this is
but
pre-PR, yeah.
how how do you manage your mental health once you had the diagnosis and have gone through all that you've gone through? What's that mental health balance?
It's at first it was really depressing. I was emotional a lot. And it was
Yeah.
like every day I couldn't sleep. When you're dealing with pain and then dealing with mental illness on top of everything that's just getting thrown at you, and I'm like, oh, here we go again. More bad news. And I my wife, she's real supportive and I could talk to her. It's like sometimes, when you have a spouse, you can't really say too much. You don't want them to get scared or you're going to push them away. And you don't, in your head, you're like, I don't want anything to happen because of my diagnosis and then my mental health. I don't want to see. So all that was running through my head, and by just talking to her, and I did actually, I think it was last year, I believe, beginning of last year or 2023. I signed up to talk to a counselor with my doctor's office. It was through Zoom, but she wasn't like, I would tell her how I'm feeling about my chronic illness and how everything's been going on, and she just, it wasn't right. I only did like 3 sessions with her. She kept, every time I bring something up, she was telling me, "Oh, you're talking negative. I don't want to hear it. You got to talk about positives." I'm like, "Well, I'm trying to get to be
You have
positive,
to
but
talk about the negative
yeah."
to get through it.
And she goes, "Don't," and she would kind of
Yeah.
was rude about it because when we first start, hey, how's everything going? And I'll tell her, why are you talking negative? And I'm like, I'm not. I'm just telling you,
Yeah.
I'm venting to you. That's why the whole point was to talk to you. And that's what another thing that scares people away, because
Yeah.
if you're going to be like that with me, how many other people you're doing it to? And that might be in worse condition than me. And you're acting like that. So I cut
Yeah.
that off, and I just started learning how to just deal with it. And I have my kids with my wife too. So they're also were a big support system. It's like, I can't leave the kids
Mhm.
behind, and I can't do nothing that's going to hurt me even worse. And I have other kids as well. They, my daughter, my oldest daughter, she was always a big help for me. She always
Yeah.
checks on me, even to this day, every day she'll call me. So having that support system helped me a lot, because I
Yeah.
told myself I'm never going down that path again. Even though I'm thinking, well, what if what if something happens in the long run? But I was like, I accepted it. Even now, I tell everyone when they ask me, how do you dealing with all these medical issues? Like, I just accept it and
Mhm.
just take it day by day. And whatever happens, I'm gonna roll with the punches. I'm not gonna get to that point where I'm gonna give up or want to give up. So
Yeah.
it's not easy though.
No.
It can be
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. What what would you say to somebody who's like reluctant to reach out because there is that
Mhm.
stigma there, maybe people around you that don't understand the impact of mental illness. I want to be able to leave our listeners with some hope
Mhm.
and what would you say for somebody who doesn't know where to start?
No, I would say, it could be hard to, start to get the help. Even if it's just a friend or someone you just trust, or like myself, if you see somebody that's always talking about, awareness and talking about mental illness, just say, hey, can I talk with you? And once you let it out, you're gonna feel a lot better. You
Mhm.
might not think, oh, it's not going to help me, but you just got to take little steps to get to fixing it. It's not going to happen overnight, but just
Yeah,
reaching out, you'll be surprised the support you'll get back. So if you have a
yeah,
doubt in your mind, just try it, just do it, because if you don't do it, then God, if something happens, then you're gonna think, man, I wish I would have reached out to someone sooner,
yeah,
but
yeah,
just reach out.
yeah. And you can start by just talking in generalities to
Yeah,
kind of think about, well, how does this person see mental health? How
right.
does
Yeah.
this person react without actually putting your name on it?
Yes.
Oh, I saw, one of my friends is really battling depression right now. What do you think about that? And
Yeah.
reading them, kind of testing the waters a little bit. I also feel like as much flack as social media can get, there's
Yeah.
something special with the chronic illness community
Hmm.
of not judging somebody. And
Yeah.
there are um, groups that you can join that are specifically mental
Hmm.
illness and putting out positivity. And without having to divulge your name or even your
Right.
face, of
Yes.
being able to reach out to somebody and say, hey, I saw your post. I really connected with it. I'm going through this,
Hmm.
and finding your supporters
Yeah,
online,
that's a perfect way.
because
Yeah.
yeah, it's so, I don't know if you feel this as much as I do, but there's just something special about being able to be vulnerable and let
Mhm.
it out. And I mean, I've only been on Instagram through Spoonful for a year and a half. I have never received one post or a question or anything that had any sense of hatred or
Mhm.
sarcasm or anything like that. It's all just been, this is what I go through too, and try this. And, I hope you're feeling better.
Yeah.
And it's just, I just love this community.
Yeah, me too. Even if it's you see a post that someone's down, just even saying the smallest comment, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
those they start adding up, and that makes you feel good too. Because
Yeah.
beginning my journey, and then just seeing the amount of people, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what got me like hooked on the groups and wanting to do awareness because I was like, well, I'm getting this support. I mean, now I could help and give support to
Mm-hmm.
others and give my pages, people to come and vent and talk about things openly. But like you said, you could do it, and when you go in a group, you could do it anonymous,
Yeah.
and just like you
You
said,
can
test the
slap on,
waters. Yeah,
Spoonie, my name is Spoonie,
you're right.
whatever, and find that community,
Hmm.
and never have to show your face. And it can be a little bit of therapy.
Yeah, it is.
Because I think that with depression, it's about knowing that you're not alone, and
Hmm.
connecting with somebody that you don't even know, but that might get it, um,
Right.
can make a world of difference.
Yeah. And you'd be surprised who you reach out to and who connects with you. I remember my first time, someone from the UK, and I was like, wow, that's pretty awesome that my post went
Mhm.
that far. And then when you see, oh, Australia, I'm like, wow, you know, that's what
Exciting.
kept me, yeah, it is. It kept me motivated because I'm like, well, I'm doing something right. And
Yeah.
then I think this year, that's when I like kicked it up a notch and started being more consistent and doing content about everything that we
I
go
love
through.
your content. I know you
Yeah.
switched it up because it's so
Yeah.
cool. Like
Yeah.
I've
It's so
seen,
many,
it's
so
very,
many
very cool.
different ways. Because when I was trying to share things and do awareness first, I'm like, okay, I like the stuff that I was posting. It was like after a while, and then the new program, I was like, I want to do something different, like attack it from a different angle and perspective, and doing. I do like Marvel characters, and now it's Halloween. I do Halloween themed awareness, and a lot of the content that the videos like comes from my head. Like that's my therapy now is
Mhm.
doing that every day. Is just it helps a lot.
Yeah. It's very, very cool, very
Mhm.
powerful. I feel
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's so funny because when I scroll Instagram, I know it's your post before I even scroll past. I'm like, that's Stephen,
Yeah.
I because it is very good, and it's, I love how you've been such an advocate for chronic illness.
Mhm.
And I would, for anybody who's struggling, I would say the same thing that I'm going to say to you. And just that I am so glad that 12 years ago that story went the way that it did,
Yeah.
because look at you now.
Yeah.
You have a beautiful wife who I think the world of. She's so supportive. You've got a couple extra kids that are so
Yeah.
cute, by the way, very cute. Um, but the amount of things that you've done through your advocacy for mental health, as far as Chiari and CSF leaks and all of that, you have to be so proud of yourself
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
looking back and saying, look what I did.
Hmm.
it's just been an amazing gift to know you.
Thank you. I mean, it means a lot to me. Um,
True. Yeah.
and I feel the same about you, especially with Kiari. There's not a lot of guys that are
Mm.
out there that either they're like not intimidated, kind of like nervous to speak out about it because, oh, you're a man, you could deal with it. Because Kiara, there's a lot of more women that have Kiari and other chronic illnesses that you see men. So that's another thing. I want other guys to see that, hey, you could share your story. There's different
Yeah.
ways you could share it. And, when you first asked to do the podcast, and I remember I was like, oh, I'm so excited. I get to do a podcast. I think it was my second one. But at first, I was a little intimidated too. I was like, it's two women and I'm a guy, but
I'm gonna beat you
you
up on the
yeah,
podcast.
but you guys, you made it so easy to talk, and it's like once we started talking, and we just went on, and it
Yeah.
was like it was great, and we always keep in contact with each other here and
Yeah.
there. We read each
I
other's
think you were
posts.
the
And
first man to come on our
yes,
podcast
yes,
because I think I'm almost positive. And yeah, if you look at our 70 some episodes, I think we've
hmm
had maybe six or seven. It's just
right,
it can be hard being well, I was going to say it can be
yeah,
hard being a man, and look at me, I'm not a man, but um
yeah,
but yeah, it's in all different ways. You've just been an inspiration. I am so happy that we've been able to sit down and chat. And look, we've even gone past
yeah,
our time because we had such
yeah,
a good conversation. But it takes a lot of courage to talk
yeah.
about
It
that.
does. But
Yeah.
you're doing a great thing too with the podcast, and
Oh,
it's not like it's not easy, but you've done so
yeah.
many episodes, and you like knock them out of the park every time you do one.
Oh,
So,
so nice. You're so nice. Well, it's been a pleasure, and I will
mhm.
continue to follow you and your story. But thank you. Do you want to tell us real quick where people can follow you?
Yeah, on Instagram, it's Steven underscore Chiari underscore warrior. It's the same for TikTok and my Facebook. It's actually my name, Steven Lopez Sr. I just recently converted that to more awareness post there about a month ago. So you can find me on all those three platforms, and my messages are always open. If anyone out there that just needs to vent, and after hearing this episode, feel free to I'll definitely get back to you, and just talk things out.
Yep. You don't have to have Kiari
Yeah,
to follow
exactly.
Stephen. His message is well beyond that. So
hmm
take care of yourself. And I
Thank you. You
again,
too.
my heart goes out to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Stephen's courage to share his story is just a reminder that no matter what you're facing, you don't have to go through it alone. It actually takes a lot of strength to reach out, and there's always somebody there to listen. If you are, or if you know somebody who is struggling, please know that help is available. You can call or text 988 to reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's free, confidential, and it's available 24/7. You can also text HOME to 741-741 to connect with the crisis text line anytime. Thank you for being with me today, for listening, and for being part of a community that believes in healing through connection. So until next time, take care of yourself and remember that you are not alone. Take care. Thank you for listening to The Spoonful Show. Follow the podcast so you never miss an episode. Leave a rating, review, and comment. Connect with me on Instagram at Spoonful of Strength and TikTok at spoonful.of.strength. Remember, that's spoonful with 2 L's. Shop customized t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, mugs, and more on our Etsy shop at spoonfulofstrength.etsy.com and use code podcast for 20% off your entire cart.